Do the Philadelphia Eagles have too many mouths to feed? The short answer is no, but let me tell you why. At the conclusion of the 2023 NFL season, the Eagles had decisions to make. They had just finished what looked to be a promising season with disappointment, starting 10-1 and defeating multiple playoff teams along the way, only to crash and burn with poor play calling and a shoddy defense. The most obvious of those decisions was to replace Brian Johnson and Sean Desai with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. But what about their defense? Well, at first, it appeared the Eagles' philosophy was going to mirror the Bengals. Why play defense when nobody can stop your offense? As they signed free agent Saquon Barkley during the offseason, bolstering an offense that already consisted of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and arguably the best O-line of football. To help their defense, however, the Eagles signed Devin White, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and an edge rusher named Zach Bond from the Saints. More on him later. The idea behind signing Devin White was that, at the time, he was only 26 years old, so with a change of scenery, going from Tampa to Philly, he might be able to return to his 2020 form. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had previously played with the Eagles during their 2022 Super Bowl run and would work well to replace Kevin Byard, who hadn't exactly panned out with the Eagles. The Eagles would further bolster their defense by drafting Quinyon Mitchell, my favorite corner in the draft, and Cooper DeJean from Iowa, the most versatile corner in the draft. So with all this talent on the Eagles roster, many people, including me, thought that a Super Bowl wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. To begin the 2024 NFL season, the Eagles would face the Packers in Brazil, coming away with a close 34-29 victory. While the Eagles didn't perform their best, with Jalen Hurts throwing 2 interceptions and Devin White being replaced by the edge rusher Zach Bond, they still managed to get the win and silence any doubt about Saquon Barkley not being a needle mover for their team as he scored 3 touchdowns in the contest. In week 2, however, the Eagles wouldn't be so fortunate as... Okay, what the heck was going on in the beginning of the year? Primetime Kirk Cousins would lead a game-winning drive after an Eagles failed third down conversion. Despite this loss, however, the Eagles were without A.J. Brown and a drop pass away from being 2-0, so panic was relatively low at this time. The Eagles would notch another win in week 3 against the Saints, holding them to 12 points after they had previously scored 40-plus points in each of their first 2 games. Sadly, Devontae Smith would be injured in this game, and the Eagles would only score 15 points themselves, with panic levels gradually starting to rise. In week 4, without their 2 best pass catchers and their starting right tackle Lane Johnson, the Eagles would lose to the Buccaneers 33-16. While winning that game was a long shot, the fashion in which the Eagles were dominated left many wondering whether or not anything had changed from last year. Luckily for the Eagles, the Week 5 bye could have come at a better time, allowing the team to get healthy and address any concerns that they had. One concern that the Eagles' offensive line voiced was the desire to run the football more, as Saquon Barkley only had 10 carries for 84 yards and the Eagles lost to the Buccaneers. But after that Week 5 bye, Saquon just took off.
To the outside, Barkley laying out some punishment, tiptoeing down the sideline. Down by 9 now in the battle for first place. Barkley, does he have another one? Yes, he does. Touchdown.
He's 6 yards shy of a career high for rushing yards, and he's got it, and he's got more, and he's gonna go all the way. What a night! What a season! What a player!
Hurts has time. Now locates Barkley out of the backfield. Barkley slips 2 tackles and picks up the first down, jumping up in the air to the 30. A gain of 14 for Barkley.
While the win against the Browns was a little shaky, the Eagles' offense proceeded to dominate afterwards, averaging 31.67.
He's on Apple with the glasses. Bro say cause he a savage.
31.67 points per game between week 7 and 12. And in those games, Saquon only had less than 15 carries once in a blowout win over the Cowboys, and less than 20 carries twice in that same week against the Cowboys in a blowout win over the Giants. However, in the following 2 weeks, the Eagles won a close game over the Ravens 24-19 and a close game over the Panthers 22-16, both of which could have been won had Justin Tucker not missed so many field goals or Xavier Legette caught a wide open touchdown. Following the Panthers win, A.J. Brown voiced his concern over the Eagles' passing game.
Offense wasn't good enough. What are some things you think that the offense needs to improve on? Passing.
Which sparked a whole lot more drama than it had to.
I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he responds to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, the things have changed, and I understand that.
But AJ was actually right. Over the last 3 weeks, regardless of the wins, the Eagles' passing game was averaging just 135 yards per game, with Hurts averaging just over 20 pass attempts per game. With more passing plays, not only would that help to open up the Eagles' run game, but that would also give the passing offense more consistency so that when they did need to throw the ball, Hurts and his receivers wouldn't be cold. Luckily for AJ, the coaching staff would once again listen to its players and address the passing offense the following week against the Steelers.
Looking, throwing over the middle. Calcaterra goes up and gets it. And a good throw and catch to start in that maligned passing game for a first down for the Eagles. Hurts looking over the middle. Got Smith wide open inside the 25. Devontae Smith all the way down to the 20, and a good-looking opening drive for the Eagles. This Hurts is going to loft one for Brown. Back shoulder. What an adjustment for A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown at the top. Hurts lets it go. Brown got it again. First down, breaks the tackle. A.J. Brown down to the 25, and he's having a day. Here's Hurts to throw. Coming near side, Devontae Smith makes the catch, and he puts the shoulder down. He's got a first down. Looking, now he's going to take off some room, but throws it underneath, has a completion, and that's going to be good enough for a first down. Devontae Smith. Hurts. Pressure. Slings it. It is caught for the touchdown. Devontae Smith. Hurts. Firing wide. Caught. Who else? A.J. Brown. Touchdown.
Jalen Hurts, 25 of 32, 290 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 8 receptions for 110 yards and 1 touchdown catch. So clearly, the Eagles' passing game existed, but in that same contest, Saquon Barkley, 19 carries, 65 yards. Now, it can be argued that the Steelers' rushing defense just played well against Barkley in that game, but another answer could be maybe the Eagles had too many mouths to feed. Aside from week 1, the Eagles didn't have a game on their schedule in which Hurts passed for 200 plus yards, A.J. Brown caught 100 plus receiving yards, and Saquon Barkley rushed for 100 plus yards. And sure, the Eagles were winning games at the time, but it could be argued that instead of playing complimentary football, they are more so trying to keep everyone on the roster happy, essentially saying, alright, our O-line wants us to run the ball more, so we're going to give Saquon 30 plus touches a game, and Hurts, you'll pass about 20 times a game. Alright guys, A.J. Brown now wants us to throw the ball more, so Hurts, you're going to pass about 30 times a game, and Saquon, we'll get you in there eventually. And to illustrate this point, here's a spreadsheet ranking how balanced NFL offenses are, created using a metric that I entirely made up. What I did is I took the ranks of NFL offenses' passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, and points scored per game, added them all up, and divided them by 3. For example, if an NFL team had the top ranked passing and rushing offenses and also scored the most points per game, they'd earn 32 points for passing, 32 points for rushing, and 32 points for, actual points, giving them a total of 96 points. I'd then divide this number by 3 to average out the rankings and see that this offense scored 32 out of 32 points, giving them the most balanced offense in the league. If an offense had the worst passing, rushing, and scoring offense in the league, then they'd earn 1 point for rushing, 1 point for passing, and 1 point for scoring, giving them a total of 3 points. I then divide this number by 3 to average out the rankings and see that this offense scored 1 of 32 points, giving them the least balanced offense in the league. Now, this metric isn't exactly perfect, as you can have a terrible rushing, passing, and scoring team, technically making your offense extremely balanced, but it's because it sucks at everything, so you don't earn points. Regardless of that slight caveat, let's look at the data. At the top of this chart, you'll see the NFL's best and most balanced offenses. The Lions, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Bills. Offenses with electrifying passing attacks and stellar run games that consistently put points on the board. Slightly below these teams are the teams with great offenses that are a little one-sided or very balanced offenses that just score slightly less points per game. Here's where you'll get the Eagles with their outstanding run game, the Bengals with their amazing passing attack, as well as the Packers and the Vikings. The lower down the list you get, the less balanced the offenses are. Or, if they're balanced, they're just bad. As you can see, the Eagles still had an amazing offense when it came to putting points on the board, but they usually did so via running the ball. And when they did decide to pass, the running game seemed to get away from them. This is something I believe the Eagles wanted to address after the Steelers game, but the following week against the Commanders, Jalen Hurts would sadly leave the game with a concussion, leading to a 36-33 loss. Despite the box score showing Kenny Pickett put up similar numbers to Hurts in previous weeks, Kenny Pickett's lack of rushing versatility made it extremely difficult for the Eagles to run the ball. For reference, Saquon Barkley had 150 yards that game, but that's not really true. Saquon had a 68-yard rushing touchdown early in the second quarter of the game, meaning outside of that, Saquon rushed for just 2.9 yards per carry on the day. Pickett wasn't much better through the air either. Even though he had 143 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, he had trouble sustaining drives and pretty much threw up prayers to A.J. Brown when things weren't working out. But even with Kenny Pickett's poor play, the Eagles were just one Devontae Smith drop away from winning the game. And they just let it slip through their fingers. Hurts didn't play for the remainder of the season due to his concussion, so the first time we'd see the Eagles at full strength again was during the wildcard game against the Green Bay Packers. This game was a lot more similar to the Eagles' wins over the Ravens and Panthers as opposed to their win over the Steelers, but with Hurts coming back from a concussion, the expectation wasn't that he'd be 100%. The defense held down the fort, so there was no reason to try and do anything unnecessary. The Eagles would try again though, next week, in the snow, against the Rams.
Hurts this time pulls it and keeps it and takes off for the first down. We're tackling Hurts on the right. He might go. Jalen Hurts. Touchdown, Philadelphia. Third and 4. They'll run out of it. Big opening, Barkley. There he goes. Barkley going to ring the bell again. Touchdown, Philadelphia. 118 yards. Adding to it. There goes Barkley. Into the clear. Through the snow. All the way home. He's hit another home run against the Rams. And this one might send them to the championship game.
Look, regardless of how well you want to say Matthew Stafford played, it was clear that the Rams' plan was to run the ball. Kyron Williams just gave them an incentive not to. Routes couldn't be crisply ran, there were a number of drops into the snow, so it seemed like the Eagles were just content to ride on their defense again and then try again against Washington, even if that nearly didn't work.
Stafford shakes the shoulders, takes a shot downfield. It is caught by Nakua.
But finally, against the Commanders, against a team that concussed Hurts in the NFC Championship game, the Eagles were able to truly spread their wings and fly.
Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon Barkley, first down, Barkley, oh, Saquon, touchdown. De'Ami Brown with his speed on the cross, Brown runs into DeGene, ball is out, Eagles recover. Hurts gives to Barkley, Barkley, touchdown.
Your best two options.
Blitz coming. Hurts, pass to one low, going deep. A.J. Brown, he's got it! Timeouts as well. Here's McNichols, and just barely caught. The ball is out! Philadelphia, did they get on it? They did! And here's Hurts on first down. Going near side, Brown, wide open, first down, and falls forward near the 40. Design run, Hurts, delay, Hurts! Touchdown, Eagles!
Hurts passed for 246 yards and a touchdown, Saquon rushed for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns, and A.J. Brown had 96 receiving yards and a touchdown. The closest we'd get to a 200-100-100 game from the Eagles' big three since week 1. And in all honesty, if the game wasn't over by the fourth quarter, A.J. Brown probably would have had that 100 yards. This was the complementary football that we'd been waiting for all season long, and the Eagles proved that they had the ability to execute at every facet of the game. Defense forcing turnovers, offense scoring touchdowns, and everyone just generally playing at the best of their abilities. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I have to bring up the Super Bowl.
Here's Hurts to throw. Got a lot of time. Over the middle, he goes wide open. It's Dallas Goedert. He's got a connection and a first down. Blitz coming. It's picked up. Hurts going deep. Has a man. Is caught. Dotson down there. Hurts going for A.J. Brown. Back shoulder. Oh, a beauty from A.J. Brown. 3rd and 16. Mahomes rolling out. Looking. Firing. Intercepted. Picked up by Cooper DeJean. Gets a block. DeJean is in. Touchdown. 4-man rush over the middle. It's intercepted again. This time it's Zach Vaughn, and the Eagles are set up inside the 10. The pros. Hurts lets it go. Complete A.J. Brown. He's in. Touchdown, Eagles. Coming. Hurts in trouble. Senses it. He's going to run for a first down and a lot more. Hurts sliding out across the 40. Chiefs show blitz. They come with it. Hurts senses and a run again. And a big seam. Jalen Hurts down to the 25. We're going to run some block or maybe throw the dagger. Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith. He has got it. Touchdown. Wow.
Now, despite the small sample size of, well, a single game, I do think this is proof that the Eagles do not have too many mouths to feed. Even in that same Commanders game, Dallas Goedert had 7 catches for 85 yards and Devontae 4 for 45. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If your name is Jahan Dotson, there's only so much football to go around. Like, if Hurts is passing 30 plus times a game, that's like what, 8 to AJ, 7 to Smitty, 5 to Goddard. If he's passing 30 plus times and completes 20 of them, then he's probably also going to run 5 to 10 times a game. Then Saquon's going to have like 15 to 20, you know. I'm sorry, Jahan. It's really not your fault. I'm sure you're an excellent wide receiver. In fact, you proved that throughout the season. Like in the Green Bay game, you came up big for us. In the Jaguars game, he had that insane catch. In the Super Bowl, he nearly had a touchdown. Like, Jahan, you've been balling all season. I'm not going to lie. It's just, there's only so much football to go around. But the point I'm trying to make is that it is possible and that the Eagles have done it before. Now it's just about making their offense consistent, which a year of chemistry should help with. While the Eagles lost Kellen Moore this offseason to the Saints, Kevin Patullo, his, what's the opposite of a predecessor? Successor, has been with the Eagles since Sirianni arrived and was a passing game coordinator last year. As a first-time offensive coordinator, we'll see how Kevin tailors the Eagles' offense and whether it'll fly like it did in Washington or whether it'll be more similar to last year, which, again, wasn't bad, but it could have been better. With a couple of defensive pieces like CJ Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, and Brandon Graham being gone, and Nakobe Dean still being out from an injury he sustained in the wildcard round after coming off of a career year, this Eagles offense might have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting for this first couple of weeks during the 2025 NFL season. And their schedule isn't exactly the easiest. But if this Eagles team wants to be remembered as not just the best team in the NFL, but one of the best teams in NFL history, then they'll rise to the occasion and do exactly what everyone thought they were going to do last year. Score points, win football games, and lift the Lombardi yet again.